Close the eyes for a moment. With deep love and reverence, we will remember God and Masters. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahe Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May God protect us all. May God nourish us with wisdom and knowledge. May there be no conflict among us. May there be more love, peace within and everywhere. I humbly bow to omnipresent God. I bow to all the saints and sages, including Sage Patanjali, Sage Vyasa, and all the lineage of our Kriya Yoga masters. I bow to each one of you as the living presence of God. Om. Amen. Good afternoon and good evening. We have discussed the 3 books of Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, and today we'll discuss the concluding book, Kaivalya Pada. Kaivalya Pada, as the name indicates, Kaivalya. Kaivalya is the state of freedom from all qualifications and internal or external identities. And Kaivalya means the state of ultimate unity. You can also say Kaivalya means liberation or realization. After discussing the goal in Samadhi Pada, then the path in Sadhana Pada, and the obstacles or distractions in practice of Vibhuti Pada, third book. Now, Sage Patanjali is going to speak about the seeker to state of fulfilling the purpose of life. That is Kaivalya Pada. This word Kaivalya in Sanskrit is derived from the word Kevala. And meaning of Kevala is only or alone. When the seeker is free from all desires and keeps the goal of realization only, while intensifying his devotion, his love for God alone, then the ultimate state of emancipation is attained. So this is the state of everlasting happiness, where all the miseries disappear and a person experiences supreme bliss through the grace of God and Guru preceptors. If you remember, in our previous class, we discussed the Vibhuti Pada, the third book, where we discussed about various siddhis or yogic powers one can get through practice. Sage Patanjali cautioned that these siddhis, these so-called yogic powers, are obstacle on the path of realization. Now, this fourth book begins with the first verse, which speaks about the siddhi in continuation. And about the siddhi, it says, how can one get these powers or siddhis? So, the first verse, it says that Janma Aushadhi Mantra Tapah Samadhi Jaha Siddhaya. The meaning is, siddhis or the miraculous yogic powers can be attained by certain means. One of them is the birth, like previous lives. If somebody has been practicing yoga. So naturally, the spiritual practice we carry in the next life also. So from previous lives, somebody who's already having some siddhis can carry those siddhis or miraculous power in the next life also. So this is one way. By using certain drugs, I'm not talking about the drugs what we know here in our country. Drugs means there are certain herbs which can also give you the experience of samadhi. Through mantra, by chanting the mantra and perfecting the mantra, one can attain the state of samadhi. By penance and through samadhi, of course, one can attain samadhi and be liberated or attain the state of kaivalya. So when a person attains samadhi, also it is very much possible that the person can also get some siddhis. Usually what happens, the siddhis one gets from samadhi state. After samadhi, they are permanent, they remain. But from other means, one can get some siddhis, some miraculous powers. They are temporary. When you use them, they remain with you for some time. You might lose it. But the siddhis which are obtained or attained after samadhi, they remain permanent with the person. So this is we are talking about various means, and in we'll skip some of the verses, and one important verse or the one important sutra I will take, which is the sutra number 7. And the sutra 7 speaks about different karma. We all know that we are performing karma or action since morning till we go to the bed. And in general, we know about prarabdha karma, we know about sanchit karma, accumulated actions, potential actions, kriyaman karma, and active karma for prarabdha karma. But here, the type of karma, or you can say the category of karma, is defined by Sage Patanjali as karma, shukla, krishnam, yogina, trividham, iteresham. So for the yogis, there are three types of karma here mentioned, trividham. Karmas are neither white nor black in case of a yogi, but for others it is threefold. Because the yogi is free from karma. So when yogi is free from karma, he is free from all the result of karma also. But for the ordinary people who have not attained a higher state of awareness, for them the karmas or the actions are threefold. So what are those threefold actions? It is mentioned here. Actually, it is threefold, but it can be fourfold also. So we can discuss a little bit more in the four types of karma for those who are not yogis, ordinary beings. So one is known as Shukla. Shukla means white, and Krishna is the black. So white karma or white action, what does it mean? Virtuous deeds, charity, etc. These are white karma. And black means vicious deeds, those desires or actions which harm other people. So they are known as black or Krishna. Now there can be mixture because very often the karmas are neither black or white, but there's always a mixture in life, depending on our impressions from past lives of prarabdha also. So we can say that there is also third category, we call it black, white black. White black means the Shukla Krishna mixture. White black, it indicates outside good, but in reality, inhuman work that harms others. So it's a dubious character. Like we show something outside different and inside we are totally different. So this is a mixture of our karma, which is called white black or Shukla Krishna. But there is a possibility for the yogi that neither there is white nor black, and this is only for yogi. So the karmas performed without expectation of result, they are known as, they are not good or bad, so therefore they are neither white nor black. So Karma can be only white, good ones, black, which are not good, white, black, which are like dubious, and neither white nor black. So these are the four types of karma Sage Patanjali has mentioned here. Little bit more about these. Out of these four types of karma, the last one, which is neither white or black, that belongs to the yogis. All other ordinary people are performing the first three types of karma. Here, as you remember in the first book, Sage Patanjali spoke about the chitta or memory, mind. So, chitta and karma are one and inseparable. That means the mind and memory and action, they are together. Without the reservoir of karma or impression from the past lives, activities would appear a little incomprehensible to the ordinary mind. So here Sage clarifies that by explaining the nature of karma and their classification, we can understand how the mind and karma, they go together. Another way of explaining it is like when Sage is telling Krishna or black karma. So they are impure or sinful actions. Shukla or white karma can be pure or meritorious action. Krishna Shukla, it can be black and white, means mixture of activities. And Ashukla Akrishna means neither white nor black, even pure action. So this is about little bit about the karma. Then in the 15th Sutra, Sage Patanjali is talking about the object and mind. So here it is said, the one object appears as manifold. Vastu samye chitta bhedat tayo vibhaktah pantha. Even though the object is same, when we see something, the object is same, because of different mind and memory, their path of knowledge and goal are different. Means we perceive differently because of our own state of mind. And the knowledge of the same object can also be different. So it depends on perception. So here mind and memory comes into picture. For example, if a person looking at one object, but his state of mind is not balanced. So the mind interprets in a different way, the same object may appear differently. There's a beautiful example in Ramayana. That the episode is that when Lord Rama is going for Swayamvar, when Mother Sita is going to select someone as husband, many princes were present there. And when Lord Rama approached to break the bow, which was the condition for Swayamvar, people who were present there, they looked at Lord Rama in a different way, because each one looking at Lord Rama was thinking in a different way. So each one's perception was different. For example, the kings present in the court, they saw Lord Rama as their enemy because he was the competitor at that time. So other kings perceived Lord Rama as the enemies. The other people who are very noble people, they thought, oh, he's such a nice person that he's very friendly. Their mothers present in the court, they felt that they see their son in Lord Rama. There were some young ladies, they saw a beautiful, charming prince in Lord Rama. They thought that if he would marry us, he would be our husband. So, depending on our own mind, we see the same object differently. Then 16th sutra, it says, Na chaika chitta tantram vastu tat apramanakam tada kim syat. And if an object dependent upon one mind were not cognized by that mind, would it then exist? There's a question mark here. However, let's talk a little bit more about these two sutras. The 15th sutra, it says that even though the object is same, because of the different mind and memory, their path of knowledge and goal are different. That means here, if we talk about in the higher dimension, one Brahman is omnipresent. So even if all are essential one Brahman, the absolute, because of the absence of divine wisdom, there is appearance of difference. When we say God is omnipresent, so same divinity, same pure consciousness is manifested in each and every object. But we don't see it the same way. Why? Because of the chitta or mind and memory. One individual may be so their example is given by Shri Guruji that one individual may be a father to the children. He may be a son to the parents. He may be a husband to the wife and a brother to the siblings. And he may be a friend to others. So each one looks at the person in a different way and behaves in a different manner. So this sutra also can be understood in another way. For example, when the same person is full of love, he thinks to give a flower to his friend. When he is full of romanticism, he composes a poem while looking at the flower. When the person is sad, the same flower may not draw his attention. So the sage is speaking of the nature of the mind and its many different ways to pursue the same object. Then in the 16th, then 17th one, Sutra number 17. And this we'll also discuss here. Sutra number 17. There, Sage Patanjali is talking about objects are both known and unknown to the mind. What does it mean? Taduparaga अपेक्षित्वात् चित्तस्य वस्तु ज्ञात अज्ञातम. An object may be unknown or known because the mind needs to be thereby colored. Taduparaga अपेक्षित्वात् चित्तस्य वस्तु ज्ञात ज्ञातम. The word here is colored because mind is colored. You know, what does it mean? When the mind looks at something, immediately it colors because any information which is processed by the mind, there is always some addition or deletion. Something more is added. For example, if you see something, when you narrate the same incident or the object to someone else, it's not as it is. There is some coloring, means some addition will be there or some omission will be there. It is the nature of the mind to color. That's why it is said an object may be known or unknown because the mind needs to be thereby colored. So depending upon the coloring of the mind and memory, the mind knows the object. All the objects are not dependent on one mind, that means not Brahman. With such knowledge, in accordance with desires, one gains the knowledge of objects. Few things we can understand from this sutra. One is the Purusha, the indwelling spirit, and Chitta, the mind and memory. So Chitta indicates mind and memory, Purusha means indwelling spirit, are clearly distinct and different in nature. How Purusha is beyond transformation, while Chitta undergoes transformation because there are always waves in the Chitta. And depending on these modifications, we perceive the objects in the world very differently. But Purusha is beyond transformation. But Chitta is constantly going through transformation. Jiva, or the individual Chitta, dissolves in meditation. And Nirmana Chitta, so there are two Chittas we talk about, Jiva Chitta and Nirmana Chitta. So Jiva Chitta dissolves in meditation, and Nirmana Chitta, or you can say Nirmana. Nirmana Chitta, the nearly formed mind and memory, is formed after realization because it is formed, Nirmana. The individual mind is also different from the cosmic mind. Objects do not exist for the individual mind when unconscious or in superconsciousness. Remember, objects exist for us when we are at conscious level, but when we are unconscious, like we are in deep sleep, everything disappears. Nothing is visible, nothing exists at that time except peace and bliss. Similarly, in the state of superconsciousness, when a person is in samadhi state, at that time also objects do not exist. There is oneness only. But for other people who are not in these states, objects always exist. We also can understand from this sutra that the individual mind is a combination of known and unknown, as well as the objects and ideas. The cosmic mind is omniscient or all-knowing. However, in this sutra, the sage is elaborating upon the notion of the known and unknown. Known and unknown. So, what does it really mean? Known and unknown, both we have to be careful about. And further, it says that individual mind is not all-knowing. It knows a little, but it does not know the rest. And this is because of the cognition of the mind depends on its context with the object. The limited human mind has limited knowledge. So this is what is the conclusion. Then it says in the sutra number 18, the next one, it says about the Purusha being changeless, knows all the changes of the mind. Sada gyataha chitta vrittayah tat prabho purushasya aparinamitvat. The modifications of the mind are always known to its Lord on account of the changelessness of Purusha. So mind, as we discussed, the chitta is constantly changing, going through transformation. But the Purusha is changeless. Purusha is beyond transformation. And the meaning is, because of the changelessness of Purusha, the Lord of mind, the modification of thoughts are always known. So Purusha knows all the thoughts. So not only is the mind the object of soul, but it is also all its modifications. So not only the mind is the object of the soul, but also all its modifications are also the object. The Purusha indwelling spirit is the Lord, who is the ruler and controller, and this Purusha is beyond change and modification. The soul is self-illuminating. The soul, like God, knows the innermost thoughts, and this is nothing unknown to Purusha, the soul. Mind is not self-illuminated. It only reflects the light of the soul, and that is what it is said in the next sutra. mind reflects only the light of the soul. Mind itself is not illuminated. This is in the Sutra number 19, and then 20 will discuss. Na tat swabhasam drashyatvat. Nor is it self-illuminative because it is perceptible. It is about the mind. Then ek samaye cha ubhaya anavadharanam. It is not possible to comprehend object and Brahman at the same time. So two sutras need little bit more elaboration here. So when it says na tat swabhasam drashyatvat, nor is it self-illuminative because it is perceptible. So being an object as it is perceived, it is not illumination. Parabrahma as self-luminous cannot be seen with the eyes only. It can be known through the Guru's grace. So when we want to see something in the world, we can see object, but we cannot see the Supreme Soul, Parabrahma or God. Only we can know that through Guru's grace. Here, Chitta, the mind or memory, is an instrument or tool. If you remember, we have four inner instruments: mind, memory, intellect, and ego. So Chitta or the memory stuff, it is also an instrument or tool. It helps us to know, to perceive, to recognize the objects. But the mind itself becomes an object. Mind is an object to Purusha, the indwelling spirit. And there is a scriptural saying, Yat drashyam tad alpam tat jalam tat nashyam. Meaning is that which is a visible object is finite, matter, and perishable too. Since the mind is an object, it has all these qualities. Which qualities? It is inert, it is perishable, it's a matter, and it is finite. Although it appears that mind is thinking, deliberating, and it has knowledge, but still it is an object which has these qualities. So although it looks like the mind thinks and knows, does the mind have the ability to know? So Sage Patanjali is telling, no, the mind is a mirror. It reflects. It does not know, but it reflects like a mirror. It appears to shine, but it has no light of its own. It shines with the borrowed light like the moon. And as a burning fire illuminates others and simultaneously illuminates itself, similarly, Purusha, the indwelling spirit, is the source of light and illumination. So mind is not self-illumined. Taking the quality of Purusha, which is pure consciousness, with the prevalence of Sattva, mind expresses itself as conscious. But that is not its own nature. Mind is illuminated by the light of the soul. And just to remind you, in Upanishad, like Kena Upanishad, you can find the mantras where it is said that how do we see? How does a person see the object or anything in the world? It's not with the eyes. It is because of the presence of soul. So the eyes are only reflecting the light of the soul and we can see the object. We can hear something because of the soul. The ears are there even when a dead body is there having ears, but there is no perception because there is no soul. So all the sense organs are also, along with the mind, they are illuminated by the light of soul. Mind cannot perceive and be perceived at the same time. So now the next verse which says about Eka Samaye Cha Ubhaya Anavadharanam. Both cannot be cognized at the same time. Means mind cannot perceive and be perceived at the same time. What does it mean? It is not possible to comprehend object and Brahman at the same time. So any object and the thought of God, it will not come together for ordinary people. So chitta is not self-illuminative. It also lacks the ability of knowing and being known simultaneously. So in this sutra number 20, the sage says that it is impossible for it to be both perceiver and perceived at the same time. The dual function are not possible for the mind. Knowledge implies both the knowledge of its own vritti or modification and of chitta itself. The mind cannot be both the perceiver and the perceived, the observer and the observed. So when the chitta or mind and memory perceives the object, it cannot illuminate itself. When chitta tries to know itself, no other object can exist. When the chitta perceives others, it cannot perceive itself. In other words, it is not possible to say, I know myself and I know the objects at the same time, or I know both the objects simultaneously. And similarly, it is said in the next verse that there is no higher mind to know the lower mind, because very often these two terms are used, especially in the Western philosophy, higher mind and lower mind. But Sage Patanjali is telling there is no higher mind to know the lower mind. Chitta antardrishye buddhi buddhe ati prasangah smriti sankarascha. It is the sutra number 21. What does it say? Chitta anantardrishye चित्त अंतर्दृश्ये बुद्धि बुद्धेः अति प्रसंगः स्मृति संकरश्च. In the case of being knowable by another mind, there will be too much cognition of cognitions and confusions of memories. This is a little complicated sutra. In simple way, if one intellect will be known by other intellect, again for knowing the other intellect, there will be need for still another intellect. Therefore, there is necessity of endless intellects. Not only that, but also there is a confusion of memory. So when one experiences Brahman, the absolute in all, then intellect is stilled. Who is the knower of the mind? It is the soul. Some people might think that in the individual, there are many minds and that one mind can be known by the others. But that would be an endless process, as the mind cannot perceive itself, for it is not self-luminous. Why can the presence of why can the presence of many minds not be accepted in an individual? What would be wrong with this? So the sage is telling, if it were so, then there would be two problems. Ati prasanga, which means too much superfluity of proving, and smriti samskara, smriti sankara, which means confusion of memory. However, we'll not go too much in detail of this. We'll come to the next one, which says, verse number 22, mind when still can know itself. So when the mind is still, then it can know itself. It is in the next verse. Katham चितेर प्रति संक्रमायाः तदाकारापत्तौ स्वबुद्धि संवेदनम. Consciousness knows its own will by transforming its appearance and thought. It does not itself move from place to place. So consciousness, as some people think that it is moving, consciousness does not move from place to place. Then next sutra says, Drashya drashyo paraktam chittam sarvartham. The mind being colored by the knower and the known is all inclusive. We'll skip this little bit. Just we can talk about Sutra 22 when it says about the consciousness. When indwelling spirit as consciousness being unable to move from place to place, it assumes the form of intellect or cognition. There is self-knowing. In spite of the form of the object, Brahman as atom remains inside and outside. So every object is Brahman. In every object is Brahman. Consciousness is free from transformation or modification. Not only that, but also it is a prati sankrami or non-moving. Although the soul is without modification and pure consciousness, out of divine play, it appears to be moving and it assumes the form of intellect. So soul actually is not moving, but it appears to be moving and it assumes the form of intellect. We'll come to Sutra 14, 24. The mind is not independent, it acts for Purusha or the soul. So this Sutra 24 is little bit telling about Tad Sankhyeya Vasana bhi Chittam api Parartham Sanhatya Karitvat. The mind is of innumerable vasanas. It acts for another, that means it acts for the soul, and it also acts in association. So here there is a little distinction given between Chitta and Purusha. In previous verses, sutras also we discussed about Purusha and Chitta. So Purusha, if we talk about the Purusha, it is said asamhata or samhata means non-collaborating. But the Chitta is collaborating sanghata because it is in the sutra it says sanghatya karitva. Then Purusha is swa-artha. That means for itself. But Chitta is parartha, it is for other. Then Purusha is the lord of the house, like the body. And Chitta is like a house. Purusha is self-luminous, but the Chitta or mind, memory, is illuminated by Purusha. Then there is one word here, aparinami. Aparinami means Purusha is free from modifications, whereas Chitta is modified, it is transformed. Purusha is pure consciousness, but Chitta appears to be conscious. So this is the difference. Then this verse, if we talk a little bit more about this, in this sutra actually, sage Patanjali is describing the nature of Chitti or the soul, indwelling spirit and Chitta. So Chitti and Chitta, the soul and the intellect or mind. So the Chitta has been painted with numerous latent desires. We have many vasanas. So latent desires, hidden desires, unfulfilled desires, they are known as vasana. So our Chitta or mind and intellect, they are painted by these latent desires and the impressions of our past actions. All of its actions are for another. That means they are for the Purusha. The mind and memory are the support or storehouse of all accumulated desires from countless lives. The mind is the creator, support, and eliminator of all thoughts and feelings. However, the Chitta is the consort of Purusha, who provides whatever is needed at different times. Then Sage Patanjali speaks about accomplished yogi sees the distinction between soul and mind. For ordinary person, it is difficult to go to that level of soul or Purusha, but for yogi it's different. विशेष दर्शन आत्मभाव भावना विनिवृत्ति. Sutra number 25. By knowing the distinction, there is cessation of all desires for a person, reflecting in the consciousness of the soul. So now sage is coming to the quality of realized person. By knowing the distinction, there is cessation of all desires for a person, reflecting in the consciousness of the soul. A person who knows the distinction and division between sattva and purusha is the one having a special vision. He is free from all other thoughts. A person who has realized the essence of Brahman is free from ego of doership and enjoyment. When a yogi, through self-effort and grace of Guru Preceptor and God, is able to experience the difference between the soul and mind, he becomes a distinct discriminating one, you can say. He has attained the state of viveka khyati. There's a word, viveka khyati, means right knowledge through discrimination. Here he is in truth or in complete absorption of the self. In this state, the sage says that he is also free from reflection of the self or self-inquiry, Atma Bhava Bhavana. This state needs further explanation. So what is Atma Bhava Bhavana? Atma Bhava Bhavana is a seed of spiritual upliftment. It can be understood from different perspectives. Firstly, the chitta means the mind and memory. Mind and memory play a predominant role in everybody's life. In the case of most people, there's a common understanding that I am so and so. I am man or a woman. I am rich or poor. I am tall or short, like this. So this goes even to the extent of one's assuming that the mind, ego, or even the body is the soul. And this is the play of ignorance. Secondly, it is also considered the state of ego when there is too much use of I, we always say. This is Atma Bhava Bhavana, all the time I. Okay? And third meaning, Atma Bhava Bhavana, is a reflection on consciousness of the soul or brief self-inquiry. It's not a common phenomenon, but those who go for the path of knowledge, they do it. It is also known as Utkat Jigyasa, means critical questions such as who am I? How am I? What am I? And what I will be. So this is Atma Bhava Bhavana, this higher state. However, our purpose is for realization. First thing, we have to be free from all our miseries. How do we get freedom from all our miseries? So here Sage Patanjali is telling in the next sutra, I will take the sutra number 30, 31 and 32. Freedom from misery. That is what is Kaivalya. Tata klesha karma nivrattihi. Then follows freedom from afflictions and actions. At that time, all afflictions and actions arising due to ignorance will be eliminated. So when a yogi clearly knows the distinction between the soul and chitta, and then he is established in soul consciousness through practice and grace of God, all miseries are eliminated, all ignorance is eliminated. Then Sutra 31 says, Tada sarvavarana malapetasya jnanasya anantyat jneyam alpam. And then, in consequence of the removal of the veils and impurities, that which can be known through the mind is little in comparison with the infinity of knowledge. Then all coverings and impurities will be eliminated and there will be rise of knowledge, viveka khyati. So there will be nothing to be known anymore. So we transcend this so-called information and we go into the state of wisdom. Tata kritarthanam parinama krama samapti gunanam. In the Sutra 32nd, sage is telling, by that the qualities or gunas having fulfilled their objectives in the process of transformation come to an end. Our mind is made up of three gunas, three qualities. Why? Because if you think about the Sankhya philosophy, in the Sankhya philosophy, we elaborately get this description. The mind is born out of Prakriti. Prakriti has three intrinsic forces, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So also, the mind is always under the influence of these three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. One of these qualities remain predominant, other two remain subordinate, and it is always a fluctuation in these three, and that is what is the play of mind we experience in this world. So when these three gunas, they come back to the state of equilibrium, there is no when they are disturbed, the prakriti manifest, so also the mind is playing. But when these three gunas come to perfect equilibrium, samya avastha, at that time the mind dissolves into its very cause, and that is what is samadhi. So here sage is telling all that at that time means then follows freedom from affliction and actions. At that time, all afflictions and actions arising due to ignorance will be eliminated. Then all coverings and impurities will be eliminated and there will be rise of knowledge. So there will be nothing to be known. And by that, the qualities having fulfilled their objectives in the process of transformation come to an end. So the purpose of experiencing this world is over and we have experienced Brahman. So there is nothing more to be known. And at that time, this play of gunas, that means play of mind, is completely stopped. It comes to an end. And at that time, for a person of attainment who has achieved that state, as a result of the manifestation of perfection in the qualities of nature, there will be end to the sequence in the previously described stages. However, so it comes to the stage which is called final emancipation or kaivalya. So the sutra number 34, Sage Patanjali is further explaining about the kaivalya, the final emancipation. पुरुषार्थ शून्यानाम गुणानाम प्रतिप्रसवः कैवल्यम स्वरूप प्रतिष्ठावा चिति शक्ति इति. Kaivalya is the state following reabsorption of the gunas or qualities because of their being devoid of the goal of the Purusha, and as a result, Purusha is established in his real nature, which is pure consciousness. So when the play of mind is stopped, means the mind gets completely absorbed in its original cause, that is the time when we see our real nature, that we are no more body, mind, we go beyond, and Purusha, we are the soul, or we are pure consciousness. This is the experience, and that is the Kaivalya. This is stage. Kaivalya is the state when the fourfold goal of enjoyment and emancipation come to an end, and all the qualities go into their ultimate source, from where they have originated, like merge back into Prakriti, and along with Prakriti, they merge into Purusha. That is what is absorption, samadhi, or kaivalya. In other words, the power of consciousness gets established in its own form. It is so to stay in that state of transformation alone. So through what we conclude here, through the practice of pranayama, the mind becomes tranquil. If you remember, we discussed in the second book about the eightfold path, like the eight limbs of yoga: yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Then we discussed sanyama also, trayam ekatra sanyama, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi together is sanyama. So the practice, if we put it together, through the practice of pranayama, the mind becomes tranquil and the gunas or qualities of mind are reabsorbed. Then one will be established in Purusha as pure consciousness. This is the state of Kaivalya. But to reach this state, one has to practice a lot. So what is the practice? The eight limbs of yoga. Sage Patanjali has clearly explained about the chitta, how the chitta plays, being affected by these qualities, and how we can dissolve these qualities or they can be sent back or absorbed in its original cause through Viveka Khyati with discriminative knowledge, as well as through practice of pranayama and dharana, then dhyana. So finally, when the mind is completely becoming free from impurities, it is also free from ignorance, then we see our real form and we identify ourselves with the soul, and we clearly know that chitta, the mind or memory, is different from the soul, and who we are established through our constant practice, and we reach the state of Kaivalya. So if you see in this Sutra, Yoga Sutra Patanjali, the four books, they very clearly lay the path, and it starts from the goal, because the first book is the Samadhi Pada. The first Sage Patanjali is telling what is the goal. We need to know the goal first, where we are going to. If we don't know where we are going to, how we'll know how to go? So first thing, to be clear of the goal. So that is why first book is Samadhi Pada. So he has told this is the goal. Then second book, Sage Patanjali has explained about the Sadhana Path. Sadhana Path means once we have established our goal clearly, then we establish the path. So goal is first and then comes the path. In the path, Samadhi Pada, then Sage Patanjali has clearly told about the practice, that what we need to do to reach that goal. And while moving on this path, when we practice, what are the obstacles or distractions can come in the form of vibhuti, which is mentioned in the third book of Yoga Sutra. Different types of siddhis or miraculous yogic powers, they appear and one can attain these powers, but they are distractions. I remember a saint from Vrindavan, a realized saint. His name was Gudadiya Baba. He had told clearly that if you use any siddhi or any miraculous or yogic powers once, you have already created another karma. That means one more lifetime you have to come back. So be careful of siddhis, he said. My mentor also mentioned when I was a college student, he told about siddhis because he gave me experiences about some siddhis at that time also. I was curious. But he told these are the dirt. Suppose when we are taking shower, so we take out some dirt from the body. So siddhis are like that. Don't pay attention to them because they are distractions. Real goal is emancipation, kaivalya. And that is what, after giving the details of all those obstacles, in the fourth book, Sage Patanjali is explaining what is that state and how do we achieve that by practice and clearly distinguishing between what is mind, what is that I am not the mind, but what I'm the soul. But how we can distinguish and be established in that state, and final emancipation, which puts an end to all our miseries, or in other words, it breaks the cycle of birth and rebirth, which we are constantly going through, and there is no liberation, there is no freedom. So, at some point of time in our life, we have to become serious about this question: how long I'm going to suffer, coming and going again and again in this world. I have to put an end to, I have to break this cycle, and I have to go back to that state. I have to go back to my real home. I am temporarily here in this world as a vacation, but this is not my real home. I'm here to serve, I'm here to practice, and the sole purpose of my birth is to attain self realization, Kaivalya. So let us all practice sincerely the path which is mentioned by Sage Patanjali, and that is the path of Kriya Yoga. Again, to remind that in the second book, first sutra, Sage Patanjali has only defined Kriya Yoga. There is no other yoga he has mentioned. The word Kriya Yoga is there, and the practice, which is eightfold, we all practice those as a Kriya Yoga techniques. All the 8 limbs are part of Kriya Yoga technique, although more focus is on the last 4: Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So it includes Kriya Yoga is the integral approach for self-realization. I am praying to God, praying to all the master, praying to Sage Patanjali to give us more discipline, more love, more devotion to continue our practice and attain the goal of our life. We don't want to come back or suffer anymore. So thank you all. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about this series of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Although we went very fast because just in 10 classes we had to cover the entire book. But if you are really interested to study Yoga Sutra and go deep into that, please listen to the videos, 3 sets of videos of Shri Guruji, and also the book Yoga Sutra Patanjali. Guruji has explained the sutras in terms of Kriya techniques. So it will be very helpful for you. The book is there, the videos, cassettes, the 3 sets are there. It is a must watch for the sincere seeker of Kriya Yoga. So again, thank you all. And I think I can just say the concluding prayer, and after that we can discuss. I'm praying to God. Let all become happy, healthy, loving, noble, and compassionate. And may there be more love, peace, and harmony among us and in this entire creation. I bow to God in all of you. Om. Amen. Thank you all for your patience and your participation.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. Uh, can everybody hear me? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, Swamiji, thank you so much. This is the last class that we have of the series that started 2 years ago. On behalf of Arva Yoga, I wanted to thank you for sharing so much knowledge over the past 2 years across all of the yoga philosophy sessions. So, a big thank you, big om, big pranam to you for your service. And on behalf of Arva Yoga, please accept this virtual felicitation. I'm sure I'm going to get emails about seeing when you can offer another series on the platform. So maybe we can plan one in near future. But for now, on behalf of Arva Yoga, once again, a big thank you to you and everybody who worked so tirelessly behind the scenes to organize these sessions on the platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Evema. It's whatever I have done. I have not done anything. It is just sharing the knowledge which I received from the masters, and it is for all our family. So it's my privilege to be part of this forum. We'll see that sometime soon again we can start another series or so. So I'll just take a little break first and then
Absolutely.
come back.
Yes. Thank you so much, Baba.
Okay,
Thank you
so
so much.
thank you all. Meditate and be realized. This is what is Guruji always reminding.
Yes.
I bow to you all. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru.